Hey, welcome everyone. In this video, I will break down my top 3 worship guitar techniques. And they don't include scales. Most of us learn these full bar chords when we start learning. What if we just take a few notes from those chords? Just 2 notes there in each chord, then just playing the chords one note at a time. Using the key of A for these examples. But if we look at the full chord, I'm playing the root that's on the E string and then playing the 3rd and walking up that way, up and down on these 2 strings. On the 6th fret of the G strings, this C sharp note, which is the major 3rd of A. But in my mind, I'm not thinking notes as I'm coming up and down the fretboard. I'm looking at the shape. G sharp minor, F sharp, and then E. But just playing the 2 notes that are in those chords. For a major chord, it's that shape. A minor chord, because you would have a minor 3rd there, it's that shape. I'm looking at the shapes, not necessarily, it's so good to know the notes, don't get me wrong, but the shape is so important to see. And looking at these type of bar chords, minor, major, playing the notes one at a time. In rhythm or lead, these type of moves are so nice to be able to look down and see those options there. I use those all the time for almost any kind of music. And I use triads on the D, G, and B strings like this all the time. And using the key of A, you can definitely ride this A note, the open A string, but I'm still looking at those shapes. In all these examples today, I'm looking at shapes around the fretboard to play rhythm and lead lines. Oh, A right there, triad, D triad, E, and you can take that shape from the E, use your pinky to hit the A note here in the 7th fret of the D string and come back down to 6. And then hit the open E because this is an E now. and then D. I'm still looking at shapes even as like full chords. But I'm really taking the center of this and really driving it with that rhythm. We always have had that option to, with this type of triad, to slide to the major third of that triad. Still looking at the full chord here like an E. You can slide up from that major note, the root note of the chord, 4 frets up is that major third every time. And you can hammer on right below it. I use triads like that all the time. You can play lead, a little bit of lead line around your strong rhythm. And I love to use these upper register triads for ambient stuff. Still looking at triad shapes. Just sounds great. You have, and I'm not looking at a scale. You just need to know up and down the fretboard these triad shapes, and the scales will start to come out from that. These triads connect. A. Back off a little bit on that. The key for me are chord shapes. I know a lot of other players visualize a fretboard this way. I was so locked into playing scales that's all I could see was full chords like this and full scales, and they were pentatonic style. But to create some great melodic lead lines and great rhythm, find those chord shapes. They're all over the fretboard and they connect. They all connect. A, D, E, F sharp minor. D, E, A. I always like to put my pinky down there on the 5th fret of the B and E strings as I play that. Sounds, gives it some power for the A chord. I hope this gives you some ideas on how to use chord shapes and triad shapes up and down this fretboard. To play rhythm or lead, these are so useful and give you a ton of confidence. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and remember, God is good.